what's up? My name is Milton. I go by Ohmega Watts. I'm a DJ, producer, graphic designer. Yeah, all around creative dude.
Yeah, we out here, yo.
That's the Mellow fam. I lived in New York. My parents, they're from the Caribbean, from Jamaica. We moved to Florida, actually. After I got out of college, I went to school for graphic design. And I left Florida and connected with my homeboy Braille. So I ended up going to Portland, Oregon, straight out of college to work on music with him. But I'm currently living in Seattle, Washington. The scene in just the Northwest is like, it's hard to say what to categorize it as because they had a lot of different influences. They had the influences from like California, from SoCal, like LA, San Diego, and mostly a lot of LA, but then they also had the Bay Area, which is like E40, the Alcoholics, and then also having other crews like Hyro. So the Northwest kind of had their niche with that sound, but then they also loved the East Coast flavor like New York, you know, my hometown. I think the scene being in Portland and Seattle, there's a lot of like flexibility. And there's a good amount of artists who have a good amount of versatility. A lot of MCs up there definitely focus on a lot of rhyme skills and patterns, but more than anything, they try to really like write intently. The golden era of hip hop for me was like, I think that sound and trying to capture and keep that sound is just, it's been naturally organic for me. It's like, I don't want to recreate it in the sense of being stuck in the past, but in all honesty, it's a timeless sound. I think in making music nowadays, there's a lot of technology that's just assisted in helping to make production a lot easier as a one-man band especially. The golden era taught me how to keep like this organic state of mind where even with the amount of technology I have at my fingertips, there's still a way of sampling and chopping and editing and sometimes even limiting myself intentionally that I think it really helps me keep that essence of that era alive while also progressing with like the sounds of the now. And really with the sounds of today, everyone's looking back at the 90s, at the 80s. Early 2000s were already like moving forward and it's kind of like we're back at that Renaissance period of going back. I think when it comes to the releases that I had, which I had 2 releases on Ubiquity Records, you know, in 05 and 07, and then having the release on Mellow Orange. The first record, The Find, which was 2005, that really got me a lot of notoriety. And I think for me, like even to this day, the other night being here in Joburg, King B mentioned The Find and just how dope and classic of a record that is to him. And what was funny is I've heard that from so many people and it's honestly like, it's real humbling to hear like people accepted that and then that they would even call it a classic, that it got talked about by so many notable people. You know, you had Giles Peterson, you had people at Ego Trip, just magazines that would cover like my record and talk about it. Going back to King B, he mentioned how much of a classic it was, and for me, I can never really see that album like my fans do or anyone that supports it. Why? Because I created it. I was happy with it when I put it out, but there's no way I could ever feel it or see it or think about it the way someone else does. And in a way, I think it's what keeps me in a place to just be grateful for the response it's gotten. But it's also like, I didn't intend to make a classic. I just went out, put my heart into making a record that I feel threw back to what I grew up on and also was current with the times at that time and also looking forward just in my own creativity. But it's just a dope feeling to know that people still to this day support it and that they've even quoted it as a classic. So yeah, thank you and respect. Mellow Orange, I'm actually in the process of working on like a beat tape, but it won't just be, and we're gonna plan to release a physical tape, but only tape for we're not sure how long of a time before we go digital, but we're gonna do like dope limited artwork, definitely of course a limited run, but the intention behind it for me, I have a lot of unreleased tracks through the years that I haven't put out, and I also have new tracks I've been working on that just I haven't completed. So in a way, I'm planning to make this beat tape more of like a complete album where it's gonna have chopped up things from obscure albums, kids' records, random vocals I've found through records through the years that I've wanted to put in places, but it's gonna really be chopped and put together like a complete album. I think the feeling of coming out here and being with the core unit of Mellow Orange, because we are a lot bigger, but Freddie, Yusai, Question, and myself make up the core of Mellow Orange. Being together, it's just like, it's family, you know? Like, we're just brothers out here doing our thing. We have our unique styles, and yet we have areas that all cross over. But at the same time, we're strategic in what we play when we are all together. And for me, it just feels good to just be rolling with the whole unit. And yeah, there's nothing else like it. 1 2 1 2, y'all. This is Ohmega Watts, and you're checking out Spindle.